Hello once again to Men of the Infinite, your dedicated wisdom channel. This presentation is about atheism, but I want to clarify at the outset that it's not about the increasingly fashionable definition of atheism as a mere absence of theistic beliefs, which essentially places atheism in the same category as rocks and babies and ferrets. Now, of course, people are entitled to define atheism as they see fit. However, I find this popular definition to be lacking in any real utility. This video is about atheism as an active and conscious rejection of theistic and deistic gods and supernaturalism in general. Now, for all its value and virtue and significance, it has to be said, so I will quite plainly say it, atheism is but a rung on the ladder of our intellectual, philosophical and spiritual development, as individuals and as a species. Now, I say this not to detract from its significance, but to simply place it in its proper perspective. Atheism is also, of course, conceptually tied to theism. Without theism, it literally has no meaning. There'd be no such term. Hopefully there will come a day for us as individuals and collectively as a species when both theism and atheism will be no more than a footnote on the pages of history. It's impossible to say when that day will come for us collectively, but for us as individuals, the dawning of that day is in our hands entirely. We just have to want to wake to it. But on that collective level, atheists face the daily battle of the willful ignorance and at times more nefarious motivation directed at them by sundry believers in the improbable and the outright impossible. One often sees this in the form of absurd questions various theists pose to and about atheists. They ask, what does atheism offer? What does it do? What does it bring to the table of human experience and endeavour? All of these questions indicate ignorance about or a deliberate distortion of the very concept. Such questions bespeak a kind of category error. Atheism doesn't offer or do or bring anything. Atheism is not a specific ideology or worldview beyond its rejection of theistic constructs. A more pertinent and coherent question would be, what does atheism indicate? What is present in the manifestation of atheism? My answer to that is this. Atheism indicates the valuing of truth and reason with sufficient depth and authenticity such that an individual is prepared to set aside established or comfortable and comforting beliefs, all in the name of that truth and reason. Atheism indicates the determination to not be swept up by fanciful and appealing ideas that have no proper evidence or logical character. It indicates the determination to not indulge in lies and distortions, and flights of imagination pretending to be reality. It indicates the willingness to express and the acceptance of the fact of personal responsibility for the content of one's mind, for one's metaphysical notions and ideas about the world, for one's ethical judgments and the framework from within which they are made. It indicates a determination to not abdicate or abrogate that responsibility, and have some invisible saviour, or conversely some force of evil, carry the can. Atheism indicates an intellectual, philosophical and spiritual maturity that can say, we, collectively and individually, are alone in this universe and must make our own way. No objective purpose or meaning or ethic is given to us. We have to forge these things in our own fires with our own iron. We have to make our own meaning and our own future. We must make our meaning be the meaning of the earth. Atheism indicates the courage that can stand up and face the challenges of a world in which there are indeed none of the aforementioned saviours and easy guides. It takes fortitude to look to the future and say, I'm responsible for every part of this, not just for my wayfarings and failures with respect to predetermined paths, but also for the consequences of my successes and victories. I am accountable for what I make the world. All of the aforementioned things demand character. What willingness and depth of character each of us brings to the tasks presented to us by an atheistic worldview is ultimately a matter for each of us as individuals. But what atheists have brought to the table thus far is significant. The question simply remains, what depth of character can we bring? What heights can we scale? What sort of world will we create?